with the Bolsheviks, their enemies who vote for it. Open up the border, let the boats with the homeless in. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mamdani. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Cheers to the champagne socialists. No regret when they vote them in. So intense when they sow this in. Bodies on the floor, they don't notice them. None of you heard about the gulag. Stop for their food farms, barred in the gulags. The train left the station with a choo-choo. Nothing worse than the smile when they shoot you. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mamdani. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons.
Now more than ever, it is so important to oppose this nonsense. Shout to the incredible Logan Lansing for making that absolutely amazing song last year. I didn't give him I meant to give him credit for it last week on our first Tuesday show, but I'm doing so tonight. Logan, we miss you. He's a past guest on Apostate Radio, a friend of mine, friend of the show. We love you, brother, and thank you for your contribution to the culture. This is Apostate Radio 57. Our second Tuesday show. I am, of course, ILC, Isaiah L. Carter. Ideally yours, coming to you from the suburbs of New York City. And to the right on your screen is my brother, my dog, my fellow Brunson egg and cheese enjoyer, the incredible Nino Sabio. What's good? What's good, bro?
Yo. Let's see, let's hear for the Knicks, man. I know they lost last night, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
We are not. We are not. And I'm gonna tell you, I got one loaded. I got a rant loaded in the chamber for tonight because these fucking Democrats here in the state, here in New York, and really all over the country, decided to make that game the very first home game for the Knicks at Madison Square Garden since 1999. And they decided to make the moment all about this, all about themselves, and it's despicable, absolutely despicable. But we're not here for that right now. Let's see who all is in the chat. We got Mr. Durkon. Shit is going crazy tonight. Absolutely. Mr. Durkon, yeah, I like this intro. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Never trust a absolutely. And then, of course, we have the 8th iteration of this stalker ass Master Shake being on time as well. Yeah. So is not stabbing people in the chest. Yeah. I might touch on that a little bit tonight too, after our guests come on. But Oh boy, lots to talk about tonight. Lots to
Gotta
talk
love
about.
Master Shake, man. We love Master Shake.
Well, you love him. I actually banned his fucking ass last week, or whenever I did the show by myself. I think that was with Tim Black. I banned his fucking ass. It was like I was just tired of the bullshit with him. Of course, yes, Apostate Radio NY is our show page. Let me just as I let all of our banners play through, I just want to go ahead and make the official announcement right now, folks. We are not going back to Sunday nights. My work schedule with me working in the morning is no longer allowing that. So we're and also on the weeknight format, we beat Timcast IRL on X our first night. So
which is better, man.
We are just better.
Streets are talking about Apostate Radio.
Yes, indeed.
So
oh my God,
the block is hot.
The block is very hot. The block is very hot, in fact. So woke is not dead. Woke is not dead. Woke never died. You know, like what everybody loves to talk about how, oh, well, woke is finally, you know, we're finally getting somewhere against the cult of the state. I'm here to tell you that not only has that never been true, they've just become better at hiding it. They've become far better at hiding their intentions and their designs, and especially what's been happening in blue states like New York and Maryland and others. They are consolidating their power at a growing exponential rate. But where is this starting? This is starting in the schools. This is starting right in the schools where your children, they already know, folks. Again, we've talked about this before. The communists know that they are pretty much at their limit with you, with we the people. But it's the kids they want next. And tonight we've got a couple of guys. One who is returning to Apostate Radio, a great friend of ours. We're going to be talking about that and a whole lot more. And I'm going to introduce this gentleman first. Well, I'll bring up our returning champion here, the original chalkboard heretic. If you want to know where the best Italian beef is in Chicago, this is your guy. He is one of us, a fellow apostate, Mr. Frank McCormick, complete with the evil villain goatee and everything. Yes. Yeah. You just, all right. All he needs now is just like the Bushwick mustache, and he's just twirling it. You know what I mean?
We got some quality facial hair going on.
It's not even really a goatee. This is just the best
true.
Some of my French DNA is bleeding through. You know that that you just can't grow it out. Not like Nino.
Yeah. Well, Nino, bro. Nino's got the best beard out of all.
This is my Irish DNA coming out over here.
Nino has like an epic beard. It's incredible. But good to see you, bro. You weren't feeling all that great last week. I'm glad you're okay. You look better.
Thanks. Yeah. I don't know what the hell it was. Wow. Knocked me out.
Never comes at the right time, man.
It wasn't nothing Carlin gave you, was it?
Oh God. I don't ever want to hear that name again.
Oh man. And coming to the show for the first time is the founder of Parents Care, and we're going to be getting into this organization a lot, getting into the nuts and bolts tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, Mr. Phillipe Melin. Did I pronounce your name correctly, sir?
No, not at all. That's all right. It's Phillipe Melin.
Phillipe Melin.
Phillipe Melin. There you go.
Yeah, my mom's French, so we got a weird name.
Oh, okay. Phillipe Melin. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, excellent. I'm so sorry for I'm sorry for the butcher job, bro. I do apologize.
He thought you were Portuguese or something, man.
Oh,
Filippo.
Oh my God! You know what's crazy? I actually speak French. I speak a little bit. Phillipe, for those of us, for the benefit of our audience, this is your first time. We generally have you. We give you a couple minutes. Please introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what it is that you're about, and the floor is yours, sir.
Well, it's great to be on with you guys. This is fantastic. My name is Phillipe Melin. I'm a co-founder. My colleague here, Frank, and one other person named Jeff Brinkat. We're the co-founders of Parents Care, and Parents Care is, at its essence, a parents' oversight organization, keeping an eye on and holding accountable our local public school districts. And we're going to get into that later. I think what's kind of interesting about our organization is that Frank come from different backgrounds. Mine is in politics. I worked in Congress. I've run campaigns, all aspects of those of campaigns. So I sort of understand kind of the strategy, how you can put your foot in your mouth, and it can cost you long term. So how to keep your nose clean.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible backstory. So I hope we get into that. So I'll let him tell his backstory. But gosh, what an amazing fighter he is. And then our third co-founder is Jeff Brinkat, not on the show today, but he's a Marine, very successful businessman, and he brings kind of the hardcore principles, that keep us pushing forward on everything. So I live in Chicago too. If you need some Italian beef or some deep dish recommendations, we can talk into that a little bit later. But yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we're really excited to be on with you guys, and I think part of the goal for us is that hopefully there's parents out there across the country who are looking to hold their own local school districts accountable, and we'd love to help you guys get off the ground and learn some of the mistakes that we made, so you don't have to make them.
Well, we're happy to have you. This is big stuff. I was actually looking through some of the stuff that Frank sent us in terms of show prep. And matter of fact, I'll pull up the email that you sent me, or like the couple of the bullet points. It's just like what is it that parents need to know and understand? I said in the intro that woke is not dead. Woke has never died. Woke is still very much alive. And there is still a very active campaign to turn children into, I guess, a new berserker class for the state in terms of communism, in terms of some gender cultism, like those things are still happening. The sexualization of children and all that. How can talk to us a little bit about what it is that you're trying that you're trying to combat, and what have you seen in recently that has inspired you to start this new this endeavor, Parents Care?
Yeah, so we started about 3 years ago. We've done things really differently in that I think there's a few things in our school district. We don't have a lot of those same issues. Our communities probably tends to be more conservative, and the school district has been pretty good at navigating away from those social controversies. And we kind of made a decision early on, actually, not to make that our focus. Because what we noticed are that, a lot of schools, they've become prepared to kind of talk about those things, because it lets them paint parents and education reformers as kind of like crazy. And yeah, we like, don't get me wrong. We're talking about Chicago. We saw like Chicago public schools, the ICE walkouts, and I broke some story that went national, like with, my former school district, because I was a teacher there for about 11 years in Waukegan, had Trump on a crucifix at a student-led walkout. So, we definitely see that in surrounding school districts. But one thing that, and this was kind of all of our perspective, is that like there's not a lot of people talking about kind of the bigger infrastructure at play in schools regarding finances. In our school district, for example, like the high school, parents pay something like $55K per kid per year. That's the tax rate. If you add in debt service, it's something like because they just passed a $106 million referendum, it's something about 105,000 per student per year in tax dollars. And the reason that really became relevant is, how Parents Care got started was the school in the late stages of them trying to pass this $106 million referendum. Scores coming out of COVID had never been lower. And they come out with this email basically celebrating their academic performance, painting this light, not saying, hey, we're humbled, we have a lot of work to do. They're saying like, wow, we're so proud of our growth. We're so proud of where we are. This is just so great. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, something's wrong. And, you do have a lot of groups like Moms for Liberty and other education activist groups. And if, a lot of people, and I'm not against, I think some of what they did was brought attention to a lot of important things. And for people that know my history, I got my start on this by talking about kind of the indoctrination going on in a lot of schools. But I also realized that what was happening, it was kind of spiraling into this kind of niche issue. And you had this kind of cycle where parents were going to school board meetings when there was some, blow up, like a white privilege walkout, like, say like Evanston school districts, which is kind of nearest, they do these privilege walks, or they did segregated parent teacher conferences. And that was all, that's extremely egregious. But they'd be like these flash in the pans, school board meetings would blow up and nothing would ever happen. Meanwhile, the gravy train just kept rolling in terms of how much money these schools are getting. There was no accountability for performance. And we started with 3 pillars because we wanted to kind of like find a way to build a coalition around issues that we thought were kind of common sense, that wouldn't be controversial if you were a Democrat or a Republican. Now, that doesn't mean that people still didn't spend, the first 2 years we were up and running, trying to accuse us of having some ulterior motive, that we were just waiting to like come in and start talking about transgender bathroom issues, which we never did. Because it didn't happen, 2, because it was kind of outside of our scope at the time. But then we also added in student safety. And the reason we had to add that is because we found, like at our school district, for example, we started to have these issues popping up with like, sexual grooming in the classroom, or misconduct. Teachers in some cases that one student teacher aide that was hired while he was like actively or under investigation by Kenosha Police Department for grooming a kid. There was a teacher who was allowed to come into the school, like they didn't do their due diligence, and they call it kind of pass the trash. He went from Evanston to our school district, and he was allegedly grooming a 6th grade girl, which is why he was fired, and he was hired. So we had to add student safety because of that issue. And what really kind of surprised us, and I think a lot of people in the community, is as we were focusing on academics, these egregious examples of spending misconduct, of lack of transparency, of not taking student safety seriously, not even telling the community in many of these cases, they just kept, like, they just didn't care. They just kept going. In some cases, they outright lied and would not be transparent. So we have kind of made those pillars, student safety, transparency, academic achievement, and fiscal responsibility, kind of our foundation. It's not to say that, like, if there was a privilege walkout, would we have a comment on that because it's distracting from academics, because it's completely inappropriate? We probably would. But they've also gotten kind of smart too. They've kind of figured out, like, if they can keep people kind of distracted with that, they can keep, giving our superintendent in gross compensation makes at least $500,000 a year. Okay. Gets 52 paid days off during the school year. Had numerous incidences where we caught them red-handed not informing parents of sexual misconduct involving a teacher. They didn't notify parents. No repercussions for him. So we've been trying to really build a coalition around that, and I think we've been very successful. Took a while, and keeping the pressure on them regarding these issues that shouldn't be controversial. But that's in many ways how troubled the system is when you have issues that no one in their right mind could say could defend it, but they still get away with it. And that goes, we can have a whole talk about school boards and the way they're set up. But this is a real problem. I know many school districts are facing political issues and stuff, but you add on this other layer, the massive spending and bloat that Americans are paying for in their property taxes, the lack of academic performance. It's just unbelievable.
In Chicago, I mean, you guys have been, in terms of taxpayers, you guys have been going through it actually. Didn't your taxes, your property taxes went up just recently, right? Because of some of the things that the Chicago city's government was in terms of they were chasing away all the businesses, and then your taxes go up. So on top of everything that you've been covering, now you've got even more property tax to pay, and then there's obviously the connection between education systems and property taxes. So I know that's had to have been maddening for you guys.
It's insane, man. I mean, Illinois is a failed state. I don't know. I hear it's pretty bad in New York, but I got to tell you, Illinois is it's a failed state. There's so much debt, pension debt, and all that sort of stuff. And right at the heart of that rotten core is the city of Chicago, and right at the heart of the city of Chicago's rottenness is the Chicago Public Teachers Union and the school district. So I mean, the debt is astronomical, impossible to ever pay back. The promises made. We live in the suburbs. I think Nino, you're in the suburbs. We're in the suburbs, so you try to keep your head down and hopefully nobody pays attention to you out in the suburbs, but it never works out that way. We don't get any money from the state of Illinois in our school district, which is Lake Forest, Illinois. And so we don't get money. We just contribute in taxes. So our school districts are paid primarily from our property taxes, and our property taxes go up and up and up and up. And Frank talked about how these guys have this communications department, the propaganda department. We call it the propaganda because if you listen to them, everything's perfect. If you listen to them, they're fiscally responsible. I mean, we can trust them, but just like your video in the beginning, the left loves to dominate the communications and have a monopoly on the communications and sell lies. And that's what's going on in our school district. And we're not alone. Every school district, they tell you your kids are great. The school's great. It's always sunny. Everybody's above average. We're going to celebrate joys and celebrations endlessly. And, so one of the lies that they say, Isaiah, is we've got a AAA bond rating, we're supposed to be really excited that these guys, the insinuation there is that they're fiscally responsible and been doing a hell of a job protecting our taxpayer dollars. It's like we live in one of the richest suburbs in the country, to be honest, one of the zip codes in the country. And so the bond rating is because high bond rating is because these guys the lenders know that there's going to be a lot of asset to collect upon, and they can always raise the property taxes on us. So we're living in that's part of the reason our organization exists, is to try to shed light and try to help our local community understand that this propaganda ministry that is spewing out roses and rainbows is only telling you maybe a quarter or half the truth at any given communication.
So I want to ask you guys, you talked about a teacher who was moved from district to district because he was trying to groom a sixth grade girl, right? How is there no consequences for that? And what, I mean, maybe there is, but what are they? And what kind of you guys talk about putting pressure and stuff on these people. Like, what kind of ways do you put pressure on them and kind of make them feel the pain of these terrible, really egregious decisions or negligence or whatever you want to call it? How do you, what are the results of that have been, and what are the challenges? I don't know who wants to answer that, but it's pretty unbelievable.
For that guy, in question, it's pretty common. I mean, you have both statute of limitations tends to be, pretty short on those things. You need to cooperate, you need the victim to cooperate, which a lot of times parents don't want to drag them through that. It can be, it's not as easy as one might think unless there's like smoking gun evidence to go ahead and prosecute them. So a lot of times what happens is schools just want to make it go away. And a lot of times the parents do too. So they will just offer them, resign, go away, and that's it. And what happens is, I think this has changed recently in Illinois, unless I'm mistaken, like where there's more kind of like reporting now done to the state, but they would just go to another district. And the school district that sent them away just kind of washed their hands of it and didn't even want the story becoming public. So you'd never find out. They'd go to another school district, and in this case, ours. And, we would argue that like there was a lack of due diligence from the human resources department. We've seen this several times in like properly vetting these guys, just doing some basic research. And they end up here until, parents brought it to our attention and to the attention of school. Like, hey, I heard that this teacher from Evanston, and then they did an investigation, but the person had already been with our school like for I think almost a decade after this had happened. And the really frustrating things is with us is like when the school, like a lot of times schools are like, well, it's not our fault. Like there was no way we could have known, or, okay, but you still have a responsibility to inform the community and tell parents. And that's been our argument with many of these cases, is because when there is one victim, there's usually more. This is, it's very rarely someone's like, oh, a lot of times the schools, they were even on a podcast and they were kind of talking about, there was a separate incident. They were kind of like, well, the student was 17 and, they were trying to kind of downplay it. It was just one time. And a lot of people, it doesn't generate a lot of controversy because they want to think it's like a one-off thing. It was just a really bad judgment call. And, but that's rarely the case. There's usually a pattern. And so by not telling parents, you're denying them the opportunity to talk to their kids, ask them like, hey, did you know this teacher, or you had this teacher? Did anything ever happen? And find out if it was just, a one-off incident, or whether there's a pattern, there's more victims. And so by not communicating with the public, they deny them that. But kind of, I going back, you were kind of saying like, well, what do we do? And so Phillipe kind of,
I was just gonna jump in before you move to the next thing. Our school district actually has had multiple of those pass the trash situations. The one that Frank's talking about came in from Evanston. This guy was invited, I think, a 6th grade girl to go shopping at Victoria's Secret. I'm not sure what's normal in New York City, but Chicago, that's pretty weird stuff, man. And so anyway, they got rid of him and sent him up here. And like Frank said, he was here.
Whoa! I'm doing the Peter Griffin thing. Somebody, you're telling me a teacher took a student to a 6-year-old girl,
offered to take her.
A sixth grade girl, but still
to take a 6th grade girl.
Yeah.
What is that, like 11 or 12 years old? 11-year-old.
Yeah, it's like 11 or 12.
And that's not all. I mean, that's the most.
Who's 11 years old? What the fuck is this? That oh my God!
Good Lord!
And they knew that he got a job somewhere else. That's Evanston.
Evanston knew. They knew.
Hold on. Is this in any of the ones that you sent me?
I don't think so. We kind of back in 24 upgraded our website and didn't, not everything was moved there, but No,
We'll send you
this,
the FOIAs results though, if you
yeah,
like.
we can.
Insane.
Yeah, send
That's,
me.
that's pretty. That's pretty
what you
sick,
have,
man.
please.
And
'Cause
here, I
this-
got another one for you guys before Frank answers that Nino's second question.
Sorry. I didn't mean to jump in with that, but that's
It's
just like
disgusting.
holy shit.
And actually, it's kind of interesting. You know, when we first started, we had mixed community. We still do. You know, some people love us, some people hate us. I don't know how you can't love Frank, but whatever. You know, but
I mean, I can think of a couple people who don't like Frank.
I know there's a few. There's a few that misguided. They're just misguided. But you know, we'll go in, we'll talk to people, and we start telling them about the student safety thing. And we'll get people who are, you know, far left or who otherwise would disagree with us on anything. But that's an example of something where we can all agree that we need to have safe schools. And that's how we get credibility and the ability to influence the schools, is to focus on these type of 80-20 issues. Another example I thought you guys would like to hear about is the town of Kenosha, Illinois. You may have heard of it. It was on fire a few years ago. They had a teacher who, there was news reports. A local news reporter was talking about this guy, how he got fired and how he was grooming high school students, a bunch of girls, yada yada yada. So first day of school comes in. This is last year. And they sent out a little email. The propaganda ministry sends out a little email of the new teachers. So we and a couple of our volunteers go through and just Google all of the names of the new teachers. And one of them was Marquise Jackson, there's like volumes and volumes of news stories about how this guy was grooming and under investigation. And they were going to bring this guy into our third grade, fifth grade, fourth grade classrooms. You know, but for the reason that we were able to investigate, and some of our volunteers investigate that this guy was a troublemaker, didn't belong in our classroom, and he never saw the classroom. Thank God. But that's a great story of success that we were able to, because the parents were engaged doing the extra work. God knows, who knows what he would have done had he gotten into that classroom. So,
jeez.
So did you guys?
At least 6 of these types of incidents over, and this is just what we know of. About 6,
Jesus.
I think, in the last 3 years.
So how do you guys do like fight against this? Do you call up the school? You call up the parents? Do like a parent teacher conference type of thing, or town hall kind of thing? Like, how do you raise awareness about these specific situations?
So we've got a really strong email list. Reach, you know, our town is about 25,000 people, and I don't know, maybe like 15,000 adults, and we reach about, through direct email, about 3,000. We have a strong social media presence. We boost ads. So going back, this was kind of to answer your question. How do you have an impact? One thing that we kind of came to the conclusion of early on is that to kind of, you know, the district has this perverse monopoly on communications. You know, your tax dollars fund a communications department, which ends up promoting the people whose interest it is to sell a story that everything is rosy and great. Look at how good of a job we're doing. So you have this perverse incentive structure where you're paying them to promote their own jobs and to kind of placate the public and let them believe everything's okay. And we realized it's a monopoly on communications, because there was no other way to hear about school news prior to us. Like you could go to the district's emails or their social media page, but that was it.
The newspapers,
newspapers, but they tend to I mean, they're not really great at it. You get maybe one story a year, and a lot of times it was the same type of thing. The communications department would send them story, hey, cover this great student event, hey, cover this great teacher. So we started off actually by doing like direct mail, like those political mailers you get in the mail. We started doing those for the school issues, telling people like, hey, here's what's going on, and here's where you can sign up to learn more information. So we realized we had to break that communications monopoly by kind of competing at their level. And then eventually we started doing like social media boosts where we would target everyone in the town, and everyone would see it multiple times, scrolling their Instagram feed, whatever the story was that we wanted them to see. So we didn't give them the option to we started off offering like, hey, do you want to you want to go out and you meet with us and talk about these issues? And the superintendent basically, for me, gave me the finger and canceled and said, hey, that guy's crazy. I'm not.
Called us an opposition group.
I called us an opposition group.
Yeah.
And so we're like, fine, then that's the way you want to do things. We're gonna beat you at your own game, and we did. And so now, again, not everyone's going to agree with us or like our method. Some people, especially in a upper class town, think it's kind of it's in bad taste to kind of publicize the dirty laundry, but we don't care, and we put it out there. So the logic of that, it isn't just about letting. Obviously, you want parents and the public to know what's going on in their schools and how their money's being spent and what's happening with their teachers, but also the real kind of magic to this idea is that it gets in the decision cycle of the administrators of the school board. They know that we're watching. Not just that, they know that we can tell everyone what's going on. So they now have to think very carefully if they're going to lie, if they're going to cover something up. The question they're always asking themselves now is parents' care going to find out? And when they do, what's that story going to be? So we start to change their behavior. It's not, again, it's not perfect, but sometimes they will do things that we want them to do. And that's really the essence of, what is power? Power is the ability to get people to do things that they don't want to do. And so that's the way we've been able to do it.
And one of the things that Frank taught me too, I was reluctant at this. I didn't want to be mean, I was a little bit scared to be mean. So, like he was like, we got to put their faces on these mailers and we got to personalize when there's a mistake or there's bad decision making or there are bad actions going on. We have to put the superintendent's face on there or the communications director's face. Because they are driven, largely self-interest. They're all career ladder climbers. They're bureaucrats at their heart. And so the thing that they fear the most is personal reputation harm. And so Frank was right on that. I relented. I tried to, no, but he was right on it. And ultimately that's how one of the ways that we were able to really influence their decision-making cycle.
That could have a big impact, man. I mean, nobody wants to be the face of hiring a sixth grade teacher, a teacher who's a sixth grade groomer of sixth graders. Sorry, I can't talk right now.
Yeah, it's not just about being mean too, but it's also like, these guys love to, sometimes you meet school board members or even like administrators like, I agree. They'll sometimes play this game like, well, I agree with you, but the system, the system. Well, you are the system.
You're
the one getting the six figures. You're the one getting, the communications head is getting 200,000 a year.
What is their excuse for that? What's their excuse about if they're the superintendent? Like, doesn't everybody pretty much listen to them in the school district or in these schools? Like, what is their excuse about the system?
Our superintendent has taken the line, I would say, ill-advised. I've never seen a superintendent make so many strategic blunders out of hubris, out of arrogance. But his argument is that it's noise. That if he just says this is noise and it's distracting from the good work that is happening. That's the line they love to. It's distracting from the good work that's happening in our schools every day. Well, yeah, you're damn right that a teacher, who's groomed a sixth grade girl or a teacher that's having sex chats with a junior on Google Chat or a teacher that's under police. You're right. That is distracting. But that's not noise. That is a symptom of a very sick system. And frankly, like the idea, like, well, kids are in the classroom learning, like, that's great. We're happy to hear that. But like, that's why we pay $55K per student per year is to get those results. That, it's like, I use the analogy, like you go into McDonald's and you find like, a severed finger in your burger and you bring it there. They don't say, well, yeah, but look at how many other people in this restaurant are eating and enjoying their food. I mean, it only happens to one out of 10. You got
to put systems in place, where that kind of thing doesn't happen again. Right. Like exactly. a child predator isn't fall through the cracks when he definitely shouldn't have, right? There should have been some due diligence. Call up the school. Hey, what happened with him? Maybe look up the news, look up his name on Google. Like, there should be some kind of security apparatus where people can look up. And then I think there's like there's software and like services I think that do this, right? Like where you can just like do background checks, right? surely
Yeah.
there's something on this guy. And you know, it's like, to your point, it's like, shouldn't the safety of the children be like paramount over, like, you know, drag queen story hour or whatever kind of events they have going on? Like, shouldn't that you know, that's number one, right? Like, let's make sure the kids aren't getting preyed upon. Then we could like talk about how great everything else is.
We think
So-
for sure. I mean, we would agree with you. And
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
particular example of the Marquise Jackson from Wisconsin, you know, the systems, one of the rips in the system is that he's from out of state. And so he wasn't inside the Illinois system. So that could have been part of the problem. But the HR team could have just done a Google search, you know? So here's what happened. Here's what played out.
Well,
Was it in the news?
Hold on a second. It was in the news, and
Okay.
I do
So we
have
could've
that,
looked them
I
up.
do have that link pulled up here. So I'll read it, and then we can go through it. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me go ahead and do this. Here we go. Yes, alleged. Okay, so this is out of the Kenosha County Eye. Oh, Kenosha. Alleged grooming KUSD teacher who was allowed to resign was hired and fired by Lake Forest School District due to KCE article. Let me see. KCE told you on May 1st, 2024, that a Kenosha Tremper High School teacher named Marquise Jackson was under criminal investigation. And on April 26, 2024, we told you that he was allowed to resign in lieu of termination. KCE received Jackson's personnel file and the police report related to his conduct. The behavior allegedly displayed by Jackson seems eerily similar to that of the fired and criminally charged Christian Enright. This one, let me see. A parent in Lake Forest named Phillipe Melin found KCE's article about Marquise and alerted the Lake Forest School District to the sketchy hiring decision. Instead of acknowledging Mr. Malin's concerns and being transparent, they sent out an ambiguous email with few details. In an August 20th, 2024 letter to parents, Superintendent Matthew Montgomery said in part, a District 67 staff member came forward with a disturbing report about one of our newly hired teaching assistants. This individual who has no interaction with students, who has had no interaction with students in our district and was still pending board approval, was invited to participate in onboarding with District 7 yesterday. Staff report prompted an urgent investigation, which revealed that the individual had allegedly engaged in inappropriate behavior with a student in an out-of-state district. The individual misled District 67 staff on his resume and in his application process, and due to official charges not being filed with the authorities, the allegation did not appear on his background check or in his professional references. So it was a paperwork error, according to these guys. But Phillipe, since you were the one who dimed this fucker out,
They couldn't give credit to it. I mean, it was just, they were too, you know, that's how they are. They don't want to give any acknowledgement. It's a funny story. The story is I was going in I was having thyroid surgery, and I'm literally coming out of surgery, and I'm like, you know, still up on like the opioids and drugged out. And my phone's ringing, and I'm like, you know, it's Jeff and Phillipe, and they're on the phone, and you know, my wife's there. She's like, why are you taking it? You just came out. Oh, hold on. They're like, Frank, you won't believe this. And I'm like, so we like very quickly, like I'm in the hospital working with them, putting together an email on our system, and we blasted it out like as soon as we found out. So it was really like, there may have been a staff member that told them, but like, you know, we're pretty confident that the staff member found out, because we had put out email to thousands of people saying like, hey, guess who your school district just hired. And why they won't, it's honestly kind of baffling, because it's such an unforced error when they continue to just lack the humility to be like, we made a mistake, this is unacceptable, we're going to really have to do some soul searching. They always want to keep saying, well, it's just isolated incidences. And you know, I was talking to Phillipe earlier, and like, you know, one thing we agreed is like, when you have a number, it's like you go into a doctor, okay, and you keep saying, I have this symptom on this side, you keep going back. Eventually they start to look at, okay, what's the what's going on at a systemic level that's causing all these symptoms? There's a disease at play. And that's kind of our argument. There's a disease at play. There's
Not just
institutional
the symptoms
rot.
are emblematic of an underlying disease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they still, the stories and the number of times we have dealt with this, not to, whether it's student safety, whether it's basic transparency regarding something with the budget or something that happened in a classroom or a bullying incident, they just don't, they are unwilling to truly change their behavior. They respond to us now, and they try and get ahead of these things. But each time they do, they fumble it in a way that they bring more and more people to our side. So I think when we started off 3 years ago, some people might have said, yeah, you're kind of fringe in that, like, we had a few hundred people that were kind of listening to us and paying attention. And all we had to kind of do was just kind of step back and tone down the sensationalism and just let the facts speak for themselves. And now we're at a point where, we have thousands of people that support us in a relatively small community. And our legitimacy has been kind of elevated. Through our hard work, but also through them just revealing their character and their nature, which is to protect the institution at all costs. And
you guys want to know what they did? You guys want to know what they did in response to the Marquise Jackson fiasco?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell us.
Here's bureaucratic CYA for you.
It's a good thing I'm sitting down for this.
Okay, so we naturally called on the call for the termination of the HR director, Phil Georgia. Phil Georgia, somebody that we often find is not doing a good job at our school. Guys making, $180,000 or something like that.
He's a 280.
Okay. He's making 280. This guy, so what they did is the district realized that they had a real problem on their hands. This is a pretty big fuck up. So what they did is they hired a external, I guess the taxpayers hired an external review of the situation, and they spent several months looking at it, and they came into the very serious conclusion that the HR team should Google every single person name they hire before hiring them. That was it.
Wow, that's revolutionary. That's a revolutionary idea, man.
I know, Nino.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow, they needed a whole outside consultant apparatus to come up with that, huh? That is that's just breathtaking stuff, man.
Yeah, no accountability. Phil George is still the HR director making his 280, whatnot. Meanwhile, parents are left in our community thinking, how do we trust these people? They were going to put an alleged child predator into our school for the second time in 2 years. And, so that, and it's that sort of, undermining. When they mess up, they deserve to be undermined, and it's that which allows us to grow in our influence and try to keep a safer school.
So they keep their jobs. Is there any way for people to like sue them for this, like for putting their kids at risk? Because I feel like that's where it has to go sometimes. So like litigation or something. People got to be like, you guys are just hiring and rehiring sex, predators.
So it's interesting you say that. There was a guy, I actually had him because I went to this Lake Forest High School. He was my teacher for a semester or two. And it was found out that over several decades, he molested like a dozen plus kids that we know of, dozen plus. They named the theater after him. It was the Dave Miller Theater. That's how bad it was. And around 2012, it all came out. And so they've been in, so like this school has a history of really screwing the pooch on these types of things, of not keeping students safe. They are being sued. I think there's still litigation ongoing. It's a class action lawsuit. The school district was their legal argument that they had no duty to protect kids. That was their legal argument in court.
What? How do you defend that?
What?
We came out with that, and the school board president was like, he actually like went on local radio shows to kind of address it. He's like, well, I admit it wasn't worded the best way, but that's a legal argument, and it wasn't necessarily but no, that's the argument they're making in court.
You
should make some flyers of those.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. We're
With his
talking
face.
about.
Well, technically not our job to protect kids, so
Yeah, it's not our job to protect kids. Like, hold on a second. I
Unbelievable.
like this is bugging me because it's like you want children, you want this totalizing. You want to totalize children in your political beliefs, in your ideologies. You don't produce children who can read. You don't produce children who can write. You don't produce children that can't do math. But at the same time, not only do you not protect children, you think it's actually because the way that sounds to me, when they say, well, we don't have a legal obligation to protect children, it's like, well, then you're setting the stage for this. You want this to happen. Like what else where else can I logically go? Like if I'm a parent, right? What's my logical next step from there, right? Like if you have no duty to protect children while they are in your care, while I'm sitting them in your classrooms where you can do God knows what to them, right? They're supposed to be safe. They're supposed to be like there's supposed to be a reasonable expectation, and you're just like, fuck it.
I think that's the hypocrisy of many public schools, or probably most public school systems across the country, is they want to take all the glory and credit for everything that happens in a positive light. And when negative things happen, they're like, well, it's out of our control. And then from a legal perspective, we actually technically aren't culpable in these things. So like you don't get to have it both ways. You can't, and that's where, and from the communications perspective, and it's not just our school, it's all these school districts do it. When your political messaging or your communications messaging is just intended to promote one specific message at the expense of all other facts and other alternative perspectives, that's not communications, that's propaganda. And that's exactly what's happened. But again, these public education is on a per capita basis the third largest unit of government in the country. It's ahead of Department of Defense. The only thing it falls behind narrowly is the entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare. But it's behind by like $500 or $600, but it's big business. And so in order to keep that money rolling, a big part of that is they have to keep the public the illusion going that everything's great, all is well, and anything bad that happens isn't their fault. Or you see it like in like urban public schools where you have like 13% of the students can read on grade level, or at some Chicago schools 0%. In those cases, they will say, well, it's the parents, it's the culture. Like, okay, like if that's your argument, then what are you doing? Like if people are paying tens of thousands of dollars per kid per year to go to a school and the outcome sucks, and you say, well, we never had control of it in the first place, why do you exist? What's your function? Like, why?
I would say
also, why are you getting paid $500,000? Why are you getting paid $500,000
You're getting paid
or
quarter million,
$280,000 a year? And to not only not protect the kids, but also not really be so hot at educating them either. It's like you're getting paid exorbitant amounts of money because you shake down the public to do a terrible job and put the kids at risk. That's very that's hard to swallow.
Isaiah, I was just gonna say, you said something earlier. And it reminded me of something Frank said. We had a situation just recently. There was a big bullying incident in our middle school. I'm making our school sound like our town sound horrible, but we had a bullying incident. Allegedly six students ganged up on one student, pulled him into the bathroom, roughed him up a little bit. There might have been a hit put out $100 for a swirly. If you guys know what a swirly is, remember that?
Swirlies.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought we were past that.
$100.
$100. Yeah. That's, we live in a special place for a swirly. Yeah. To put this.
I thought swirlies were a horror of the past, man.
Apparently not a deer path. So anyway, the son's father came up and spoke. We had a big community uproar. Everybody came to the school board meeting. It was really a cool exercise of democracy. And Frank came up, and I think he said something that was really wise and really profound, is that you promote what you tolerate. And I think that's going to what you were saying before. You promote what you tolerate. And so, you know, we had a school district we had this radical inclusion kind of thing where even the most worst behaving kids were kept in the classroom. They would empty the classroom out and let this kid blow off steam. And they tolerated chronic misbehaving as part of sort of this ideological agenda that they had at the school. And it manifested ultimately into this incident that really, I think rocked our town, you know. And it was exactly what Frank said. It's they were promoting what they tolerated, and they tolerated rank bullying on top of many other things.
So wait, let me ask you a question real quick. There's a kid that would flip out in class, and then they would empty out the classroom because of that. Was it a normal like 20, 30 kid classroom, or is it like a special ed therapeutic classroom where it's like five to seven?
No, it was general education.
Yeah,
and they allowed that.
The concept in special education, and I think it's part of the law, is like you have to keep the kid in the least restrictive environment. And so that's kind of evolved this kind of idea of radical inclusion, is that, well, you know, keep everyone in the classroom at all costs. And so I saw this a lot as a teacher.
That's
where,
crazy.
you know, you'd have one or two kids could destroy a classroom at 30 because
Easily.
all your 90% of your focus is on them all the time at the expense of all the others. And that's not just at our school. That happens at a lot of schools. It's why a lot of teachers are quitting. It's why so many people are dissatisfied. I mean, you know,
it's like
that's
the
crazy.
Giuliani thing, you know, you allow a broken window here, you let a kid misbehave, and it gets worse and worse and worse. All of a sudden it manifests into a hit for a swirly, and who knows what else it will happen if they don't course correct. We were actually able to get be contributory into getting the principal of that school where they had this radical inclusion policy. She resigned and left our school district, and so they've course corrected a little bit. So that's like
they should have.
That's that we've had.
In my experience, those kind of kids go to like, you know, a special ed setting classroom in the school, and then sometimes they get taken out of that if they can't handle that, where they're constantly. I worked in a school like that. I worked in a therapeutic program, and with kids with emotional behavioral disabilities, and usually they would be in a classroom with like 5 to 7, 8 students, a teacher, and two assistant teachers.
Yeah.
And that was common in those classrooms for that kind of thing to happen, but that was the place for that to happen, right?
They've moved to that now. That's part of we say like we're trying not to just make noise, we're trying to make impact. We've been part of creating that impact. They've now, for that class, have created a special room for the radically misbehaving classes, and they've been and they're actually getting better education in that environment, better than that classroom. So it's better for everybody.
They need a therapeutic aspect to it. They need like a social worker around to blow off steam. They need people who are trained for that. They need people sometimes to restrain them. Because sometimes they really like flip out and have like a really adrenaline fueled incidents. I guess you get crises that we say. And like, you know, I've been with students where you had to like hold them down and stuff because they were just like out of control, spitting at people, throwing desks, throwing stuff. Sometimes attacking people, attacking teachers. I've seen. So yeah, those kids like, and there's success that could be had in those kind of therapeutic classrooms. Right. You know, some of those kids actually do make it out of there and actually end up getting a job and actually, you know, could do well. Hopefully, I don't know that they do their whole lives, but hopefully for a while they're doing well and maintain it. Yeah, but you can't have that happen in like a general school where like you said, if this every day people are like, oh shit, is this kid gonna flip out again? And then everybody's adrenaline spikes and everybody's stressed out. And like, you know, it takes a little while to recover from that. It's like
common sense.
It's just you can't have that. You can't have it. You can't have that.
Frank went through and he does like this research, and he found that the principal, the old principal at that school, she was writing all this stuff about like how she she's really big on inclusion. And she wants the next step she wanted to do was to include include chronically misbehaving students. So it was like our kids were her project, so she could become famous for being the inclusion teacher, maybe go get a high paying superintendent job or something like that. It's
While you're paying so much in taxes, or you work so hard to get a good enough job to buy a decent house in a nice town with a good, supposedly good school system, and then you have to deal with that. So that's really a betrayal of the public, in my opinion.
I want to talk about. I do want to talk about one thing that Frank sent over in the chat. I really want to talk about this from the Lake County.
This is a great case study and early lessons and
yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna read this because I literally cannot believe this. The headline is McCormick at Lake Forest High School. It has been reported that there is allegedly what the students are calling a gay room. A gay room, ladies and gentlemen. This is from little over 3 years ago now. Lake Forest High School is reportedly hosting a so-called gay room in which LGBT students remember they only use these assholes only use the acronym, which to me is a red flag. In which LGBT students and staff have allegedly been convening in private during school hours. At Lake Forest High School, quote, at Lake Forest High School, Illinois, it has been reported that there is allegedly what the students are calling a, quote, gay room, some type of private staff student LGBTQ club. They are keeping the door shut, and when pressed for information, telling other students it's a study hall. Frank McCormick posted on X. McCormick linked to a video of a student who was turned away from the room. Mind if I ask what's going on in there? Student asks. Study hall. The other student answers as she enters the room. You need something? A teacher asks a student who is filming. No, I'm just looking around. The student doing a filming responds. And this right here is why I hate this fucking movement. If you want to know, ladies and gentlemen, why the support for quote unquote gay rights is dwindling by the fucking minute these days, it seems, it's stuff like this. Quote, Alliance is the sexuality and gender equality group at Lake Forest High School. We provide a fun, safe, and welcoming place for LGBTQ plus and their students and their allies. The first Alliance meeting of the year is Thursday, September 2nd. The LFHS Alliance said in a tweet. This is what angers me about this fucking movement. So
here's what the real scandal is on this. This is pretty crazy, and this is why I want to bring this up. When you talk about like the number that the Dave Miller case, where you had 12 students molested in that high school for decades, when you had all those 6 incidents we found out, this room, okay, had it was in the basement, and in the video, there's one window that you can see into that room. Okay, it's blocked off. The window's covered. Taped over. The room is dark. The lights are off. There's some hanging rainbow lights and a pride flag, which whatever. That's they said it was a support group.
Symbols of their religion.
This is in the same school where over a dozen kids were molested in similar environments. Dave Miller allegedly took kids, back alley, quote unquote, rooms in the basement because he was like the theater tech guy where no one was around, one-on-one, and would molest them.
There's a whole bunch of lawsuits.
A whole bunch of lawsuits. It's going to cost our school district millions upon maybe tens of millions, and they're repeating that. So when this came out, the school district's first impulse, they sent a letter to the community. We didn't even say anything about the nature of the room, about whether, you know, the students call it a gay room. So that's first of all, that's a management issue from a school perspective, when you have students calling, like when there's not transparency around it. And they sent out this letter about, like, you know, our students are, you know, we stand with our students, and it's such a shame that adults are prejudiced and bigots. I went back and found there was a forensic audit after all these, you know, dozens of kids were molested in our high school when I was a student, and for the years before. The recommendations of the forensic audit were very specific. Do not have rooms like this where a staff member meets one-on-one with another student out of public sight, where no one else can see in the room. So they're in their genius minds, they said, hey, let's take kids, you know, gay kids who are already 3.5 times conservatively more likely to be molested. Let's put them one-on-one with staff members in a room where no one else can see, where the door is locked.
In complete violation of their own
forensic audit investigation. And rather than they did, and Phillipe likes to point this out because he's right. They eventually did the right thing. After this came out, and after they took their opportunity to virtue signal and to call us bigots and say that this was about something it really wasn't, they made the changes discreetly because they knew they were wrong.
We had to put out emails like with their own forensic audit language. You know, we sent it to the community, and like, these guys are currently doing a lawsuit.
We lost you there, Phillipe.
Yeah, Phillipe, we lost you, bro.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'll fix it if his internet's lagging out.
Okay, so you know what? Well, before I'm gonna let Phillipe finish.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Kanye. I'm gonna let Phillipe finish, but I want to play this clip from the Lake Forest. Actually, it's a clip from the paper. I think it's actually the video of this quote unquote gay room. Watch.
Mind if I ask, what's going on there?
Study hall.
Study hall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a study hall room?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Mind if I look inside?
No.
I can't?
I'm in.
That's actually kind of cool, Jackson. Do you need something? No, I'm just looking around.
What the fuck?
Thanks.
You know, wow.
Dim in the lights.
Do you know
Man.
how much trouble I would have gotten in as a teacher if I invited like a bunch of students and covered the window and like turned the lights off and like just had them in there? I mean,
Probably not too much trouble, man, if you're in that district.
it's just crazy. Yeah. So like that's why these types of things happen, is because their attitude is not, oh wow, we made a mistake. We ignored the recommendations from our own forensic audit. You know, that wasn't their approach. It wasn't humility. It was, you know, to attack the people that brought it forward.
Of course.
And
ultimately, you know, I mean, that was early on in our thing, but that was the first impact that we had. One of the first impacts we had is.
Go ahead.
We might froze.
Yeah, he froze up again. Shit. Like, this is the stuff that drives me absolutely up the fucking wall, guys. Because I think this is an appropriate conversation to have during Pride Month. It's like, why the fuck are you so intent on sexualizing children? Why is there this almost like religious, this cultish urge that these people have to spread and implant their sexuality into children?
I'll tell you, this is their argument that they're going to make, and then we can go from there. Their argument is going to be that many of these students have intolerant, bigoted unsupportive parents, and that the community's hostile, and that this is the only place they can feel safe and feel validated is at school.
And there's
And
suicide threats. I'm sure they
and
probably
there's
say too,
right.
right?
So like, so like a kid, if a kid doesn't get the support, they're gonna kill themselves. And that's why they they won't tell parents about this. This goes into mental health too. There's a law, Illinois mental health law that's gonna go in effect in 27, which allows the same type of thing where they can screen your kid for all sorts of mental health issues and meet with them without your consent if they believe that, like, if the kid says something like, oh yeah, my parents suck, they'd never understand. They're like, well, we don't have to tell your parents that you're suicidal or that you're bipolar, that you hear voices or violent impulses. We're going to give you all these social services and take it directly out of parents' hands. So I see it really as an issue, of taking away kind of parental sovereignty to be able to talk with their kids about these things and for parents to make their own decisions. But it also creates a huge vulnerability too. Like, no one is talking about how there's some people that are talking about it. I can't say no one, but like not enough people are talking about like the sexual abuse epidemic in schools. And I personally think, like, from what I've seen, boundaries really easily get crossed when you start talking about this stuff with kids. It just happens naturally. If you pull a kid in, and even if you have the best intentions and you start saying like, hey, no one tell me what you're going on. They start telling you about, like, sexual life and this stuff, and your parents don't understand. Very quickly, the conversation goes from academics or support to you're talking to a kid about, personal stuff in their life. Now, most people have, I would assume, have good intentions and they wouldn't exploit that. But we can't ignore that there's also a significant population that finds their way into these institutions and uses that as an exploit. And that's a perfect example in this room. I'm not saying that any of the adults involved in this program were involved in any wrongdoing. But if you wanted to be, if you had ill intentions, what a great opportunity to say, yeah, I really want to get involved in talking to kids about sexuality and this type of stuff, and then have access in a room or in a setting where their parents are never going to know. I don't have to tell their parents. I can tell them, don't tell your parents because it's risky. And we can talk about this stuff, and it's very easy to lead into conversations. When we did have an incident, there was a junior teacher who allegedly was having, it was the teacher's name was Mix E, because they went by gender neutral pronouns, and they were allegedly having sexual conversations through Google Chat. And I can, my best guess is like how that happened. It was typically kind of like, oh, no one understands. I understand. Let's talk about this stuff. And before you know it, they're having private conversations late at night offline about the student's sex life and about the teacher's experience. I mean,
late at night,
corollary to that
late
story.
at night offline. Wow.
The corollary to that story is that when that Mixie was terminated, or they was a substitute teacher, my son's math teacher, they told us that they were let go because of wasn't grading tests and wasn't keeping up. So they didn't even tell us the full scope of why that teacher was.
Of course they wouldn't. Why would they? Why would these people tell you the truth? Why would they ever tell you the truth? I mean, these people, again, it's like there's something fucking reprobate about this, guys. Like, they know, like, the definition of reprobate is they know they're doing wrong. They're doing something that they know is foul and evil, and they're going to do it anyway.
Well, that's what really, Philippe's heard this from me, probably I have an unhealthy obsession because it pisses me off so much. But what really pissed me off, like in this incident and all these incidences, is that their defense, their default kind of shield to protect themselves from any accountability or answering these questions is to accuse anyone even bringing attention to this of bigotry, regardless of what you say. Like, ironically, and like, don't get me wrong, there are, like, I've seen, for example, in the education movement, people that do, take things way too far, or their argument is just like, they don't have a coherent argument beyond like, just like, gay students are degenerate, and they shouldn't even be talking about it. And okay, but like the real issue is that, like, even if a student does say, I'm gay or I need these, like, I kind of understand the school's argument like that, like, okay, like, you do have to like deal with certain issues that are, kid maybe being bullied or maybe doesn't feel comfortable, God knows what, but like the way they handle it is in the worst possible way. And to avoid any scrutiny, even when there are misconduct cases, it's to accuse the people bringing the issue up, the scrutiny, of being bigoted, as like that's the only possible motivation someone could have. There was a great article, I think it was in the LA Times, and I wish I still had it, and it was basically he was the author, is a gay man today, and he wrote basically about how he was molested and abused in high school, and he's like, it was allowed to happen because he was a gay teenager and everyone knew it, and this other openly gay teacher came in as a mentor. And no one had the courage to question, why does this guy have this like interest in mentor? They just, well, he just is supporting him and he's trying to help because this kid doesn't obviously have supportive parents at home. And he said, the teacher would be walking around with him through the hall and everyone just thought like, oh, that's so sweet. And like, he's just supporting him and helping out, a gay student who must've been like him. And meanwhile, he's molesting him, he's having sex with him. And the man basically wrote in the article, like, I was failed by this. So, when you don't have scrutiny, there's not allowed to be scrutiny because people are afraid that just asking these questions is going to, cost them socially or get them accused of bigotry, you really do allow abuse to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy how these people frequently, and it frequently comes from the left, like teachers unions, Democratic politicians, whatever, you name it, where they just they act like, especially it's crazy since they are, a lot of them are feminists and radical feminists and hate, think that men are the worst thing in the world, but then they forget that there's plenty of men who are predators. And maybe it's a small percentage, but it still could be a lot of people, right? There's a lot of men in this country. Even a small percentage could be a lot of people. Maybe every school has one, or every other school has a potential predator. So, I mean, it's like, so when you have these, like you said, these situations where there's a guy that's being trusted to like hang out with a gay kid all the time and he's gay, or there's a secret club where it's in the dark and you're talking about sexual things all the time, of course there's going to be some people in these situations, some adults who are going to be predators, because we know that happens. We know that happened throughout history. We know that it's happening now. So why would you assume that it's not happening and that you must be a bigot for having concern about it? Of course you should be concerned about it. Of course you just try to avoid, ever putting kids in any situation like this. They can go talk to their parents about this. They can go to an outside therapist. They could join an outside group if they want to join a group, and might want to look into who's running that as well. But the school shouldn't be doing that. The school.
I mean, can you imagine if you had a teenage son who said he's gay and he said, oh yeah, and by the way, Dad, I've been meeting with Mr. So-and-so like privately in this room, and we've been talking a lot about that really personal stuff connecting. I'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like if you need support, I'm going to get you a female therapist in a setting where I'm close by and I know what's going on and we're close contact. Like, what is going on?
I would say when looking at it from this situation is that, abuse happens, heterosexual abuse happens, homosexual abuse happens. And the way to for parents and for school leaders should be handling these things is there are rules, and it's kind of like that rooted GLA thing. If you start bending the rules at little things, that's sort of like a breach in the dam, and so we think you got to strictly follow the rules. There are pretty good rules out there for how to keep kids safe, and they should be followed, and parents and the community and the school leaders should demand strict compliance with the rules. Texting is Snapchat is a beautiful tool for some of these predators to have what they think are private kind of disappearing conversations, and like it may start, like I think we said earlier, it may start innocent or it may start kind of like about math, but it can lead. So teachers and students should not be privately communicating off school communications channels. I mean, that's a great tool.
But I think, Isaiah, and you may have said this,
hold on a second. That's just such a big problem for me. It's like, what, like the idea of teachers having private conversations with students makes me sick. It really does. It infuriates me.
Especially when the topics are sexual in nature. I mean, like that's just asking for it, you know.
Like
So
this notion that everyone else, but I like, just walk with me with through the diabolical nature of this real quick. Everyone but your parents are the ones. Think of what's being promoted here, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there. Everyone but the parents of the child are the ones being encouraged to talk to your children about their sexuality.
And mental health.
And their mental health. You, as the parent, are the ones who are supposed to be taking all of this into consideration. You laid down and made the child. And instead of actually raising the child to be a productive member of society and inoculating your children against this type of shit, you hand off your children to these because you think educators are glorified babysitters. You throw them to the system while you go off and play girl boss or boy boss or whatever. And meanwhile, everyone else but you are talking to your children about the stuff that you should be discussing as a parent.
Amen. Yep. There's a responsibility for parents too, you know,
Yep.
and it's important to talk to your kids.
I believe it was the late great. I've repeated this phrase often, but it was the late great Vodi Baucom who said that you can't send your children to Roman schools and then be surprised when they come back Romans. You as a parent, lady, I am not a parent, okay? I am an uncle. I've got five nephews and 2 nieces. I don't know if I don't know whatever the Lord has for me in terms of being a parent, you know, but I know that the 3 of you are parents, right? And I know that you guys do a great job with your kids, and God bless you boys for being great fathers. Okay. I am disgusted that I'm more disgusted in the lack of parental involvement here, because I'm sorry, if this was going on in a school where I was sending my kids and my son or daughter let me know about that, I'm raising hell. I'm raising hell about it. That's not good. That's like it is.
I'd definitely be calling parentscare.org. That's for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll tell you, Isaiah, this is happening across the country. Our school district is not unique. It's happening. You remember the Catholic church debacles, the criminality.
That's true.
They had unending liability, and they paid, and they've made fixes. The public schools don't have they have limited liability. So you know, it's not changing, and not enough people are aware of what's going on.
People need
in our school district, we have parents care, and we're able to kind of raise awareness. This whole stream of this whole story that we've told of all these examples, if we didn't exist, if we weren't focused on this thing, we would have forgotten about 2/3 of these things, and we wouldn't know, and it would just sort of seem like normal day, go to work, don't worry about it. And so that's what's really important about these parent organizations, I think, like ours, you know, is not to get caught up by always the flashy, you know, cultural issues, and really focus on these core pillars of safety, academics, fiscal responsibility, and one other one, Frank, I'm missing it. But you know, that what we're trying to do is really try to be a permanent, consistent oversight so that things change. And I think our school district sounds horrible. I would say the old difference between our school district and your school district is that this stuff has been brought to light and that we know about it.
Right. I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure that's the case.
I think there's a strong need for like education and training for parents and people that want to get involved in oversight of their schools, how to do this the right way. because so often what happens is it devolves into a circus around these flashpoint issues where, and not in our school, but like you'll see other school districts, there'll be like a school board meeting and like, parents show up and they have signs like no trannies in my kid's bathroom. And it's like, you've immediately burnt all your credibility. You've fallen into the trap that schools want because they get to say, well, look at these, like, that the whole movement
Right.
becomes characterized by
Right.
the most extremes. Look at these bigots. And a lot of people write them off and they don't want to be associated with that and they get away with it. So learning what the arguments are and how to make the right arguments and how to reach people is a huge part of this. And it's really missing. And so,
discipline, having discipline.
discipline, right. Like if you are concerned, like the argument, again, if you have one of these like relaxation rooms, LGBT, and you're concerned about your kid's safety in there because they're in there unsupervised with an adult, the way to handle it is from the perspective of safety. If you go in and you go to a school board meeting and start screaming about like you're trying to trans my kid,
They've already won.
It's over. They've already won. That becomes a headline. That becomes what everyone sees, and about 80 to 85% of the people in the community say, "Oh God," they tune
Not only
it
that,
out.
they're counting on you to do it that way.
They're counting on you to do it. They want you to do it. That's why that issue, I
Yeah.
think it's such an important example because it's like how to handle it the right way so you get everyone in the community on board, because it becomes a lot harder when you make it about student safety and you flip it on them too. They come out and they say, and we did. They came out and said, "Oh, we're thinking about the safety of our gay students." And we're like, "Yeah, we are too. We're actually thinking about it though, based on what statistics tell us about the rate of abuse of those kids, about what your safety recommendations say." What are they going to say to that too? And then you might actually start to build coalitions around that too. You might start to get, conservative and liberal parents who start to say, that's a good point. We don't need everyone to agree with us on, that was one of the early criticisms of us. And it wasn't even a fair criticism. People just looked into like our personal politics outside of parents' care and wanted to say, well, these guys are Republicans, therefore we can't work with them. And we're like, okay, if that's your line in the sand that you can't work on issues of student safety or academic achievement or transparency because you are too childish to work with someone who has different political views, so be it. But we've changed that now. It's become a lot harder to take that argument because we've been disciplined and we've been consistent. And we just as we expect schools not to politicize instruction and curriculum and matters involving our kids, we also kind of view that as a responsibility of ourselves too, is not to use our platform to push our own political beliefs, whatever they may be, and to be disciplined and focused.
I
And if
think
anybody-
it's diabolical. Hold on. Like, I think it's diabolical that having reasonable expectations is now considered MAGA. like that's basically, that's what it is. Reasonable expectations are now considered to be MAGA. Think of this, right? You guys, you mentioned, that someone who's too childish to work with you because they don't want to work with or be seen working with the Republican, right? Because they're just so fucking evil. I'm gonna give you something that's kind of sort of unrelated, but I noticed a similarity here. Spencer Pratt lost. Well, I know what I'm not. He was ousted by the Los Angeles Democrat Party, the California Democrat Party machine. He was ousted from that election, and they're going to find that out. But they're going to find that out, and the feds are going to descend upon California like you won't believe. But that's besides the point here. Spencer Pratt only ran because his house burnt down. His house was burnt down in the Palisades. Okay. He had his only sin was having the reasonable expectation that the Los Angeles government was going to make it easier for him and his extended family and the other people to simply make it easier to build their homes back. And they won't do it. But simply having the reasonable expectations of things working, being like things working normally, is considered being MAGA.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we started.
Not having groomers in school to sexualize your children that's considered MAGA. That's considered something to be avoided. It is diabolical how the powers that run this world have twisted the minds of the people to make it odious to want normalcy in your schools. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phillipe.
I think that's right. But I want to say that we have a lot of that. There are people in town who just never gave us a chance, even though we're talking about common sense 80-20 issues. I guess there's always 20% of people, but a lot of people, Democrats, Republicans, non-political moms who are tired of their kids getting bullied, people who just can't understand how you could hire somebody that you could Google. I've started, and we get so many, we go out all the time, coffee shops or church functions or whatever. Really appreciate what you guys are doing. You guys are doing great stuff. Thank you. Keep doing it. And some people don't want to stand with us. They don't want to put their name behind an op-ed on our email or whatever. That's okay. That's okay. That's what we're here for, and we want to be there, for some of your listeners, if they're out there in, different parts of the country, and they're willing to stand up and make a difference in their community. I think this is the biggest way you can make a difference. It's better than running for school board, in my opinion. Although running for school board is important. I think creating an outside oversight group is exactly a way that you can really make a big difference in your community and hopefully save some of your kids, help them actually learn, go figure, my God, that's what we send our kids to school for. And, maybe we haven't had as much luck, but working on it, on the financial stuff to try to curb the incessant increases of property taxes and money pit that our schools, buildings and schools really are. But yeah, man, if you want, parentscare.org, you can sign up, get on our email, shoot us an email, and we'd love to talk with you.
So you guys operate throughout the country then, if you need to.
We're thinking about that. We think we're at year three. We've had tremendous impact in our local school, and we think that we can try to help other people around. We'd love to replicate this. It probably look a little bit different in your community than in ours, but yeah, we'd love to talk with you about that. And all it takes a little bit of bravery, a little bit of willingness to take some social heat, and a dedication to helping our kids. Like, what's more important than that?
I will keep you in mind for out here in New Rochelle. Because listen, I pretty much consider the Bronx. I consider New York City to be I won't say it's like a complete lost cause. I don't really believe so much in lost causes. But while I'm here out here in the suburbs of New York City, if I hear of anything that's going on, I'm giving you a call. I'll hit you up and be like, yo, you might want to look into this, because there was just this weekend, there was a drag queen story hour event at the local library at the library here in downtown New Rochelle. And I'm that to me boils my blood, because I'm just over it with again.
Yeah, Isaiah, whoa, Isaiah, I got to stop you, man. What do you have against grown men in woman face and thongs twerking in front of your children? What's the big deal about that, with their asshole hanging out and their ball, their left nut about to pop out of their fucking thong? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Because for one, men should not be. I'll be happy to tell you, because that type of stuff is meant to induce mental illness in children.
It's brave and beautiful.
For who? There was actually, I don't know if you guys have seen this. There was a whole article that was written by a drag queen. It's called Drag Pedagogy. Shout to James Lindsay, who actually read that thing on one of his new discourses podcast episodes.
Wasn't his name Little Miss Hot Mess or something?
Little Miss Hot Mess. That's exactly right.
That's right. Yeah.
Little Miss Hot Mess. And this guy, maybe I need to read through it on a stream here one evening, because guys, I'm telling you, like the excuse writing, the excuse making that like to write something in a scholarly article to basically explain why you as a grown man have a desperate need to dance and twerk in front of children. I'm like, the levels to which the pervert will go to gain access to your children is unmatched.
A lot of blame has to go to the parents.
I don't think most, like, I think most people, I think that's actually what's happened is, I think that's a very fringe thing. And what has happened is that people are afraid to be like, that's not normal. I don't want that for my kid, because the vocal 5% will immediately start saying you're bigoted or you're intolerant. So people don't say anything. But like, I think if you probably surveyed most people, they would probably be like, yeah, that's completely inappropriate. But we've kind of gotten ourselves into a situation in this country where our discourse and our politics is kind of ruled by a tyranny of the minority, where you have
100%.
small radical groups setting, it's like people, Isaiah, we see it on X all the time. We see it with like people dominating certain conversations about Jews or Israel, and they're the loudest, most vocal people in the room, and they think that is the consensus across the country. And I think, now that can't change, unfortunately, but I think, sometimes they overestimate how popular it is. People just don't want to engage. People don't, especially with the stuff on the left, people just don't want to, we saw stuff in our schools when I was teaching, a lot of the like radical social justice stuff, like 70% to 80% of teachers were not on board with it, but no one wanted to be the person that raised their hand and had an issue with it in the meeting, where they're being told that, asking your students to do homework is white supremacy, because the minute you objected to that, so they would just grumble.
Ask Paul Rossi what happens with that.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Our boy Paul Rossi. Shout out to Paul Rossi, man.
Shout out to Paul Rossi. Homework is white supremacy. Guys, wow. We're up against we listen,
good luck.
It takes a lot of courage to go up against the kind of evil that we have been dealing with the last several years. And the fact that you two have basically stepped up to be the men in the arena to help save these babies. I mean, we've had a lot of other people on the show who are doing who are doing similar things. Shout to Aaron Lee out in Colorado.
Aaron Lee.
A shout to Dr. Travis Morrell. Like people
Dr.
who
Travis.
are really shout to Billboard Chris. Like people who
Paul
are
Rossi too.
Paul Rossi. We haven't had Tiffany Justice on the show. Would love to have her on. But like the fact is, like, we've had people and we know people who are really working tirelessly to save kids. Like
I don't think there's much more important than that, man.
There's nothing more important than that.
Like what you guys are doing, what Aaron Lee's doing, Paul Rossi, Jordan Peterson before in his University of Toronto, Brett Weinstein and was it Evergreen College? It's like just calling like, hey, wait a second, things are going. You guys are crossing the line now, and you could get your head chopped off. I know when you guys mentioned like how scary it is even for parents. It's like I understand the dynamic. Like most in a lot of these suburbs and stuff, it's like everybody's expected to be a Democrat or be quiet, right? And then if you're like the one mother, and mothers, women are definitely tending to be, at least openly tending to be on the left or Democrats. Men are a little bit more conservative usually, but a lot of times they're probably closeted, and a lot of times they go along with what their wife says. Like they don't have the balls to fight with them. They don't want to deal with it. Maybe they don't pay attention, and they're just like, and that they, I know people like this. They definitely don't agree with the woke bullshit at all. In fact, sometimes they very much despise it, but I think they just can't handle the fights and stuff. So, if you're going to be the one person, most women are going to do that. Most women are going to pop their head up and be like, you know, what's going on here? Because then everybody's like, oh, wait a second. All the girls are, you know, all the mothers like, is she like a Republican? Is she like a Trump supporter? Is she like a bigot? Do you hate gay people too?
Right.
You know,
That's
do
what
you hate
happens.
black people too? So those women aren't going to, most of the time aren't going to do that unless they're like an Aaron Lee. And the men who maybe feel very strongly about this stuff too are you know, their wives are going to kill them if they say anything. So it's like, there's nothing you can do. And if you're a teacher, you're probably going to get ostracized and fired by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Unless you have some kind of support.
We've had a lot of that where, like, you know, dad will come to us and like, yeah, you know, that's my line in the sand is people touching my kids. You know, I'm going to stand with you, but
should be everybody's line. Yes.
But you know, I'm going to stand with you, but man, my wife just started a bake sale thing and she's just really worried about the negative publicity. So like, I'm going to keep this quiet. And we're like, okay, man, you know, I mean, like that's the problem. I think there's a lack of kind of courage, and people are just so terrified of what others might say, even if it's not true, and they just don't want that fight. You know,
it is socially devastating, man. It could be socially devastating.
You don't need a ton. You don't need to start with 1 million people. You don't need to you get 50 butts into the school board. You don't need to do that. You just need to break the communications monopoly. That's the first thing. If you can break their monopoly, the minister of propaganda's sunshine and rainbows communications program where everything's perfect and nothing bad ever happens, you break that down. You don't need 100 people to go show up with you at an event. You don't need it. It helps. Certainly it's nice when it happens, but you don't need it. You can change it without it.
And it's great to have what you guys are doing and what we're doing, and like, you know, awareness that we like to spread is because, you know, because then there's a social media aspect, the social media movement, and then that becomes that's power as far as, like, you know, schools or whoever it is, organizations being like, oh shit, this is a lot of bad press, and now it's been retweeted 500 times by this person, that person. Oh shit, now Rogan's talking about it. You know, so that could be you know, or whoever the influencers are, and that could be really powerful. And that's why, you know, thank God for social media in that respect, and places like X. I want to ask you guys too, like, what about the responsibility of journalists locally? Like, are they doing their jobs? Are they covering for these people? Are they ignoring it? Do they wait for people to give them stories? Like, what's going on with that? What would you say the issue is with some of this?
Frank, I'm going to answer this one.
Yeah, you've got more experience.
Because Frank's more critical, and I'd rather not publicly critique our local media guys, because I do think that we've got relationships. That's part of what we do, is we have relationships with local media, and every journalist, every outlet is a little bit different in how aggressively they'll cover it. But the important thing is, for your listeners out there, is that you do want to have relationships with these people. So we have the ability to text and call local media and send press releases. And, you know, sometimes we get great stories, you know. Frank, there's one I can think of where the reporter got so frustrated with the minister of propaganda at our school district that that the reporter actually said that they were lying, you know. And so that was a great tool.
Great.
Like, hey, your director of security is actually lying to the community, and we could quote the newspaper. So it's really good.
Excellent.
I understand
That's
that they're
great.
not always going to be there. They're not always going to give you exactly what you want, but it's important to build those relationships, because it's a nice external validator to have a news story on top of your communications as a group.
And I feel like journalists in general, like, are probably oftentimes on board with that kind of stuff, with the you know, the LGBTQ secret hideout in the dark. Like, to them, a lot of them, because they're woke and they came from woke universities, are thinking, oh no, this is just because these kids are you know, they're oppressed, and somebody's going to bully them, and their parents don't accept them, so they should be doing this. And these guys are just bigots for asking about it. So I see so much of that in the legacy media, at least, where, like, you know, they just will totally ignore these kind of stories, totally ignore, like, identities of, like, mass shooters if they're trans, things like that. But if it was a white conservative guy, you know, that they're going to make sure they put that in the headline and talk about it for about 4 or 5 months on CNN. You know,
media
so
bias is real for sure, but
super real.
It's about having relationships, and it's about how you frame it. You know,
Sure, totally.
You have to understand who you're talking to as a reporter, and if you frame it how you want to talk about it, it may hit a brick wall. But if you can frame it in a way that's smart and you understand where they're coming from, they might cover it. They may not cover it as well as you'd like them to cover it, but at least they'll cover it, And,
at least they'll be in the paper or the website. Yeah. No, that's smart. You have to do it that way, because otherwise you'll create a new enemy or somebody who's just going to ignore you or try to discredit you, or maybe they'll write a story about your organization talking about how you're the next MAGA extremist bigotry hate group that's just wants to protect children. Yeah.
Well, guys, I really, really appreciate you stopping in and seeing us tonight. It's been a great. This has been a fantastic time. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Frank, like we love you, and you're one of us. You're already an apostate, and we love you. Phillipe, what anything else you guys are working on besides this? Anything like maybe on an individual level?
It's kind of dominating a lot of my time right now. This is kind of my main focus. I think, thinking about how to kind of scale this to other school districts, because there's a big deficit of community-driven, disciplined school oversight at the local level of our public schools.
And I'm not much on X, but Frank's got a great X feed. So if you're looking for some really interesting, unique, and provocative discussion on X, Chalkboard Heresy, CD Heresy. That guy, he really
spicy memes.
The spiciest of memes.
Yeah, if you're looking for a little entertainment, you got to follow Frank on X for sure.
And real quick before I let you boys go, I want to just shout out Frank for creating the thumbnail for tonight's show.
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you.
You did.
Looks exactly like me, man. I love it.
Yeah. Looks Max upgrade, right?
Yeah.
AI Max.
No,
I looked at the size of my arms. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, Frank got ripped. All right,
bro. You took like 100 pounds off of me. You took at least 100 pounds off me.
You had a GLP-1 GPT over there.
Oh my God! Thank you, hey guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Please be well, and I'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
Let us know if there's anything new to promote, anything new you want to raise awareness about. Like, hit us up. We'll have you back on.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate your work, man. Really do.
Night. Oh man, this was great. Yeah,
I love these kind of organizations, man. I love it.
Same.
Because that gives people, like, I just love, like, with my kids or whatever, if they have to go through this, I can call these people up and be like, all right, what should we do? What's the strategy here? Instead of having to go at it with, alone, and then then you're ostracized from the community, and then the media calls you, all this shit. It's like you have a support system here. Like these guys, or like Aaron Lee, or like or Paul Rossi, and the kind of organizations they have, where they have, they know what to do. They know how to set you up. They know who to contact, and that's so powerful, and plus the social media presence as well. So I love what the work they're doing, and it's for protecting children, protecting education, or fixing education, keeping it about education instead of indoctrination and grooming, sexual grooming.
So I want to switch gears real quick. Because I've been wanting to talk about this. First off, ladies and gentlemen, if you've noticed, we are representing the New York Knickerbockers. Now, I've had just full disclosure, I've had a lot to say about the Knicks over the years. I've hated the Knicks over the years. Okay. Like I have despised this team. I honestly thought that they were a joke. Okay. But they have changed. They have objectively changed as an organization. They are serious about not just being competitive, but actually winning basketball games. Okay, and being a force in the league. instead of being a tourist attraction that only, that only tourists go to during the regular season. Okay. The Knicks have turned things around as demonstrated by their presence in the NBA Finals to begin with. Knicks lost game 3. The very first game, the very first home Knicks final game, let me rephrase that. The first home game in an NBA final since 1999. And everybody was excited. People were people were anxious to welcome the Knicks home. And they lost, unfortunately, 115-111. Now, I could talk about the way that the Knicks got absolutely fucking hosed by the refs. They got hosed by the ref in terms of their free throws, okay, in terms of fouls. The Spurs got a free 24 points off of, well, they got a free 24 free throws as opposed to the Knicks' 8 in the second half.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. I remember seeing Wemby just basically grab, if I remember correctly, Brunson by the back of the head and just kind of throw his head in the ground like a big brother to a little brother.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not a flagrant. And what the hell was that, man? How's that not a flagrant?
Like,
and that was definitely not a flagrant. I don't even know if it was a foul. It definitely wasn't a flagrant.
Well, your boy over here is like, well, there ain't no way New York goes up 3. Well, they can't now because
that's true.
It's 2-1.
That's
the Knicks are up
no
2-1.
shit, Master Shake.
Captain fucking obvious. But but that's just one thing. I mean, the Knicks did not play great. You know what I'm saying? Besides the refs, the Knicks overall, there's too many turnovers. And Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, Big Cat, both took the responsibility for that. And I think things are going to be quite different tomorrow in game 4.
Better be.
But I want to.
It's basically a do or die game for both teams.
It is a do or die game. It is.
Pretty much. I mean, it's three going. Well, it would be 3-1, but that's that'd be tough for San Antonio. And if Knicks let San Antonio back in and it's tied 2-2, that's tough for the Knicks. That's a lot of momentum, man. And then they're going back to San Antonio. That's a really so Knicks kind of have to win. I think
they do.
And I think they will. I think Knicks are very strong.
Character-wise, they are
and as a team.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think this team has undergone a lot of mental. They are a mentally tough team, and I will give that to them. Again, I'm bought in. Kareem,
me too.
Kareem is like will accept no Knicks slander whatsoever. Okay. All 5'4.5" of them be like, "What you say about the fucking Knicks? You should standing up like this. Like, you really want to fuck with my Knicks? Like, you like that's up, right?" So, but I don't want to talk. What? Yes, I am actually. She's standing right there. Like, you talking shit about me on the internet, like all the Bronx just came out. All the Bronx just came out. My wife just now. Listen. I'm not playing with you. I'm supporting you, babe. I am in support of y'all. I mean that. Okay, I wouldn't be putting on this hat. Okay. Yo, Nino. She going like this with me. Like
easy.
Like I see you, motherfucker. But I want to talk about this, right? The negative energy that was that surrounded it. Okay, you're banned. And we don't joke about that, dude. We don't. No. You got to go. I've had enough of you. Goodbye. We're not. No. We don't. We don't do that. So a lot of people know that this game was overshadowed in a lot of respects by the president coming to the game. President Trump showed up, I want to make this very clear. Trump was invited to this game by the owner of the New York Knicks. He was invited to this game by James Dolan. And so all of the security protocols were there because, leftists can't stop wanting to kill the president. TDS has apparently reached its zenith. But I want to talk about some of the things that I saw yesterday. Okay? Just the utter bedlam that the people had to deal with. But this negative energy, the only ones who overshadowed, I want to make this very clear. For all of the pro-Democrat people, all of you leftists who are like, well, Trump, everything Trump touches dies, and he shouldn't have come, or the Knicks would have the Knicks would have won. I'm like, y'all wanted this. Y'all wanted the loss. Y'all wanted the Knicks to lose. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You wanted it. You wanted it. Now, there's an argument that you could make, right? That maybe Trump shouldn't have been there. Because let's be clear, as the president of the United States, there's a big to do, right? There's motorcades, entourage, security, Secret Service, the whole bit, right? Like, we're talking about the president of the United States, regardless of who it is. There's going to be security protocols in check, regardless, right? So it's understandable. There is an argument that can be made for that purpose. But to act as if Trump is just this generational evil that literally brings out the demon in all of you to the point where you have to go and start tearing shit up. And especially once they lose, so you guys threw a massive temper tantrum because the Knicks lost, and you still blamed Trump for it. You blamed Trump for the loss. You blamed Trump for the bad energy that you brought. And then you want to get mad at people for pointing that out. Like, bro, I saw some shit yesterday. Like, people were talking about, well, Donald Trump forced himself onto this. Like, how the fuck can you force oneself onto a sporting event?
Yeah, invited to the game. I mean,
Invited to.
the president can't go to the game without people acting like animals.
What the fuck? Dude, hold on. I'm gonna like look through some of the things that I saw yesterday. It was absolutely nuts, dude. Like, what were you seeing where you are, bro? Like, what were you seeing?
I mean, I wasn't online too much today. I did see a couple clips. I shared one where like they're destroying a tree. You're talking about like the fans or like the Knicks fans going nuts?
Knicks fans going nuts. But no, like in terms of the bad energy. In terms like because you was like
yeah, I didn't see. I haven't really been. I wasn't online today too much. Honestly, I wasn't online today too much.
What about yesterday?
No, I really haven't been. I don't think I saw AOC say "Wake up, Trump" or some shit. You know, they're losers. The Democrats are fucking losers, man. Honestly, like they're just the leftists. They're totally fucking warped. But no, I didn't really. I don't know. I wasn't really plugged into any of that. I was just watching. I was hanging out with family, watching the game.
Yeah, like I had people getting all types of upset at me. Like I've just never like. Here we go. Like because people like I fucking had it with these people. This one here that I wrote. I said by just showing. So this guy. Mike Welch 3, he said, get the fuck out of here. Trump has repeatedly called the NBA a woke political organization that is unpopular and very nasty. Classic Trump. Now that the Knicks are making a championship run, Trump uses this to make the event all about himself. Such a putz. And then I said, by just showing up to a basketball game, Trump made it all about himself. Wow, this is exactly why people are sick of you fucking leftist dorks. You literally blame everything on that man. Do you blame Trump for your wife's boyfriend fucking her while you watch by chance?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a guy can't go to the game. And if you're worried, you're pissed about security. I mean, one, he's the president. I mean, it's probably going to be the same regardless. But two, like maybe you guys should like kind of discourage people to stop trying to kill him. You know, a couple times a year. You know, maybe that would maybe calm things down a bit. Instead of celebrating it, instead of promoting it online and being like, you know, don't miss next time, you know, and trying to make heroes out of people who assassinate people. It's really fucking deranged and sick and depraved. It's totally fucking backwards, evil.
Yeah. And like this guy here, I'm like, he's like, you are sheep sucking dick. You've picked the president of the United States selfish. It's like the unhinged nature of these people. Literally just saying that Trump's very presence at the game warrants that type of fucking behavior and that type of unhinged, dysregulated nonsense.
You know, I will say, I know it's ridiculous. I will say that it probably would have been better to have more working class people in the stands, though, and in the garden, because I feel like the garden should have been a little bit louder. I think we had so many goddamn like $7,000, $40,000 tickets. I think I saw some $40,000 tickets or something like that too. My cousin was showing me. You know, those people prepared to really really get loud and really go crazy. You know, I don't know, but that's one thing I will say. But maybe maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. Maybe everybody's just nervous. But it sucks that people are so priced out. I mean, of course, Mamdani ended up getting himself a ticket for under $1,000.
$1,000.
Under $1,000, I think.
Under $1,000.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So you know, some everyone's equal, but some are more equal than others.
Some are more equal than others, right? Some are more equal than others. And then there's this gem today. Not that one. Hold on a second. Not that one. That's a different one. This one here. Yeah. Kwasi Tamal, France. What a fucking bitch this guy is. Trump made it all about Trump. Trump made it about Trump, Isaiah. The watch parties stopped, bars and restaurants around the stadium were shut down. He fucked up the vibes. Everything Trump touches turns to shit.
Okay, whatever.
Like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm going to say this. Because, see, two bad things happened when it came to the Knicks. And this is the other reason why I'm wearing the hat tonight. Why I'm rocking the blue and orange. Two things happen. One, supporting, like, the one thing I don't want is for supporting the Knicks to become left coded. Now I'm going to talk now I'm going to say this to our conservative audience for a second. If you were only supporting the Knicks because Trump showed up to Madison Square Garden, go support your home team. Go support your home team. Like that's not what this was about. Okay. Rooting for the Knicks and rooting for the city of New York, especially when we are under, especially when, well, not we, because I don't live there anymore, but when the city of New York is under communist occupation as we speak, I am not going to tolerate any type of like this slander that I hear so much on the right, where they're like, oh, well, you voted for it. Not everybody voted for Mamdani. There are so many people in New York, in the 5 boroughs, who did not vote for that man, who did not vote for these leftists. They certainly did not vote for the city to be turned inside out. They didn't vote for the crosstown streets of Manhattan to become congestion centers where an already difficult city to get around in is made almost impossible. They didn't vote for this. They didn't vote for this. So that's the first thing. I don't want support for the Knicks should not be left coded. Second thing, the vibes. These people actively made the situation. They turned everything from beating the Spurs into into yet another fuck Trump session. That's what bothers me the most in this case. We don't need no more fuck Trump sessions. Y'all wake up every day. The left says fuck Trump 5 times a day like they're fucking Muslims. Okay? Muslims pray 5 times a day. Democrats say fuck Trump 5 times a day. So there we go, right? The Knicks are a good basketball team, and they need to be judged on the court by their own efforts. Let's maintain their individuality here. These are young men who are putting their bodies on the line, and they are working hard to bring a chip back to New York City. Again, it's been 27 years. Kareem was in like fucking middle school. Okay. The last time this happened.
I was in high school.
And the last thing I'll say is if we're going to play the whole vibe check game, which is just so fake and just so fake and gay, and I'm just like, I just like ugh. We got more to worry about from Zoran than anybody else. I don't know. There's another blue and orange team that play here in New York City, and that would be, well, not here in New York City. In New York City, called the New York Mets. They're the National League baseball team. Okay, they're going to be They're going to be neighbors with New York City FC starting next year. I sent you something, by the way, on that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and Zoran a couple months ago went and hugged up on Mrs. Met. So they have 2 mascots. There's Mr. Met, who's like a cartoon guy with a baseball forehead, and then his wife, okay, Mrs. Met. Zoran went and hugged up on Mrs. Met, and the Mets lost 10 straight.
Come on, Donnie curse, man.
Mamdani got more of a sports curse than Trump ever will. And Mamdani's bitch ass was up in the nosebleeds or wherever the fuck he was in the garden. Okay. He was smiling and cheesing with everybody else. Like, you know, like he's a quote unquote man of the people. Don't nobody fuck with Zoran either in New York. The only people who rock with Zoran like that are fucking DSAers and all the pro-Democrat blacks who don't know no better. all the socialist groups, they love that motherfucker. They're the only ones who rock with Zoran like that.
Terrorists probably like him too.
Oh, terrorists, yeah. And then Zoran, and like even Zoran's juice. Zoran, I don't know if you know this, Nino, but Zoran a couple days ago told like the Puerto Rican Association to pound sand.
What?
Yeah, he's not,
What happened?
so
What'd he say?
you know, the Puerto Rican Day Parade is coming up pretty in a few weeks.
Puerto Rico. Ho.
Zoran was supposed to. Yeah, I know. All y'all look alike. So Zoran, because the mayor goes to like there's like a pregame, there's like the day an event the day before. The mayor goes and makes nice with them, and Zoran was just like, fuck y'all, I'm not going. Now, mind you,
I'm surprised because that's
his first. But hold on, here's what's crazy. The first of these government-run grocery stores is opening up in Spanish Harlem. Well, it won't open up. I mean, it's basically it's a money laundering front. Everybody knows it. It's like a fucking front group. It's like a place where they're gonna park money that's gonna go to the DSA. But
yep.
But let's be clear. So you can open a government-run grocery store, or at least pretend that you're going to open a government-run grocery store in Spanish Harlem, but yet you can't talk to the people who live in Spanish Harlem? What kind of commandante bullshit is that? But again, like this is the honeymoon phase is over, and I hope people notice. He don't fuck with blacks. Zoran don't like black people at all, unless you are a socialist, unless you're a commie just like him. He don't fuck with nobody. He does not like any other minorities. He is simply about himself, Islam, and communism. That's it. I told y'all, Zoran is the living embodiment of the Red Green Alliance. And let me tell and I know I said there's one last thing. I got this right here, which is you're going to get a kick out of this. You're going to get a kick out of this. So since they let the great Satan in, now because attacking Trump doesn't do anything but just has people roll their eyes and like look at these fags, Now you have Jacobin Magazine. Jacobin Magazine says the awful billionaire James Dolan's stranglehold on one of sports' greatest franchises is holding the New York Knicks back. The solution? Yes.
Can you send me that?
Oh yeah.
Send me this later on, man.
Oh yeah, I'll put it. I'll send it to you right now. The solution? Yes, that's right. Public ownership of the Knicks.
Oh my god, that is the stupidest thing I've heard in a long time, and I've heard a lot of stupid things.
I just put it in the group chat.
That's too good, man.
So you know what I said? I said Pinochet didn't go far enough. Pinochet did not go far enough. I'm sorry. No. So not even 24 afters. Oh boy, not even 24 hours after you fuck up the vibes. Y'all fuck up the vibe. The left fucked up the vibes in New York City. So not even 24 hours after the game, y'all are already presenting yourself with you're already presenting communist solutions, public ownership of the New York Knicks. Really, friends?
How can he say that about him? I mean, he's the guy that brought him back to the final. So what are you talking about? They're acting like he's the one holding him back. He brought them. He helped bring the Knicks back.
That has nothing to do with it. He sinned against the people by bringing Trump to the stadium last night. So now we need to take. So now the Jacobin magazine are saying we must seize the Knicks from the evil billionaire that is James Dolan.
Good luck with that shit.
That's what they're saying. Again, Pinochet did not go far enough when it came to dealing with communists. These people are fucking evil. And frankly, they're pathetic. Think of how pathetic it is. Well, we just have to steal. We have to steal this property in order to make him pay for bringing Trump to Manhattan. You
Crazy.
fucking dorks.
So crazy.
Anywho, that's our show tonight, folks. Thank you for joining us for episode 57. Thank you to Frank McCormick and to Phillipe Melin for joining us tonight. Parentscare.org. We are in full support of this endeavor, and we can't wait to hear more from them. Next Tuesday, we're going to have Mr. Billy Beck, upstate philosopher who's actually going to be right up Nino's alley. I think you'll enjoy him. Great guy, interesting guitarist, and an anti-communist just like us. Okay.
Great.
I've learned a lot from him. I think he's going to be great. And Friday being my birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. I'll be 44. I'm an old man. With me turning 40, I might do a stream. I might do a stream after work. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool.
You know, Friday, somebody's playing on Friday. You know that, right? Friday night.
Game 5. Game 5 is Saturday.
Somebody else is playing
on Saturday. Who else is playing on Friday?
I don't know if you ever heard of the World Cup, but
that's right. Okay. Yeah.
USA is playing Paraguay.
Oh, okay.
I think 8:30 or 9, something like that.
Hey,
so I don't think you might have to skip that stream. I don't know unless you want to miss that one.
I could do or at least I could do a what you call them, like a watch along. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be out with family watching the game,
Okay.
but that might be cool if you want to put that on and do some live commentary or something for anybody who wants to follow along. That might be cool. See how it goes.
I think so.
But yeah, I gotta. That's a whole social thing for me.
I got you. All right, folks. See you next Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks.